Welcome to the Mindset Mentor podcast. My name is Christian Hoyle. I have been an entrepreneur, a coach, a teacher, a podcaster, YouTuber, and a dad. And I expect to bring into that in just 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week, actionable insights that will transform your mindset and boost your growth. Each episode's packed with personal experiences and inspiring tips to build resilience and live your best life. Let's start right off with one. While walking the dog the other day that I haven't got, so I'm not used to saying I walk a dog. I wasn't walking the dog. I was on the walk that I've continued doing since I lost my dog. I bumped into a good friend called Brian. And he reminded me of something. I said, "What are you doing, Brian?" He goes, "Oh, I'm on my walk. I walk with him." And we walked the very same dog walk that I'd walked for a long, long time. But the difference was he didn't go the way I did. He went, maybe on that dog walk, there was 10 different places you go a different way. And he took the 10 different places, all the roads led to the same place, but it was different to me. So I felt the difference. And you think about what's going on with you. Some people are going the same places, but they're doing it in a different way. They're taking different roads. So if you find yourself comparing yourself to them other people, you might be getting to the same place, but how you get there is always different and unique and uniquely yourself. And in the past, I've got caught up in other people's race and racing them at their race, but it's not. Theirs was built up at different actions, different things that got you there. And it just reminded me that we're all on different paths, and it might be in the same thing. You might be in the same business as someone. You might be doing the same thing, but you are not the same. You are uniquely you, and that's the beautiful part of you. You'll never, ever walk the same walk and do the same thing because of our independence, who we are. And that just reminded me that I'm different to Brian, but we do the same walk, but it's always different. So don't get caught up in other people's race. Next one for me is so important is managing your mood of the day. I think that if one thing was about mindset, it's the mood management. And I'll tell you right now, I don't always get mine right. But what I do is I've learned to master it so it doesn't last forever. I remember when I'd sulk. I used to be a sulker. I'd sulk for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week. I'd be mad and I'd get angry and I'd let it go throughout the whole day. I refuse to let that happen now. And one thing that's going to always help you to refuse to let that happen is realizing, you sometimes can't control how you result to a stimuli, but you can control how long it takes for that stimulus that you've had to control you. And if I was going to give you a tip, it's straightforward. The ones that I use, which is definitely walking, which is part of my routines. Yours might be something different, but routines are the shaker of anything that'll put you back in the moment, because while you're off doing your routine and stop concentrating on whatever that stimulus and just get on with what you're doing, you can start being you. And once you return to you, you can find all the things that made you uniquely you. And that's the way that you process events. That's the way that you engineer your reactions to things and what you're going to do. And if you stay in that moment where the mood started, that stimulus come. For me, if I'll just describe this week for me. So I've been an entrepreneur a long time. One of my businesses I've had for 20 years. I do plan for it to close down in a year. I found out this week it was closing down. Now I had no choice and I had to react. My first reaction was, despair, anger, upset. Oh, why me? It was a bit of a why me. I have to admit that. I did. I why me'd. I never why me, but I why me'd, because we're all capable of doing that. And that's when I realised that I needed to react. And reacting to me was going for my walk, because when I'm on my walk, everything is always better. Maybe it doesn't solve it infinitely forever, but it's always better. And I did that walk and I started thinking, okay, what can I do? Yours might not be a walk. It might be a class. It might be the phone calls. It might be other peers that you go to. Whatever your device is that really works for you, use it. Mine will always be walking, because and I recommend it to you. If you have a problem, start the walk, just go off on one. It'll instantly be eased. And throughout that walk, you'll think of, you might takes a bit of time to remove that energy that's encapsulated in the bad thing that went on before, but slowly it'll loosen. And once that loosens, you can start coming in the outside energy, outside universe, and the deepest memory of all that sorts everything out. Nothing's forever. Everything's temporary. And what you felt 10 minutes ago doesn't have to be all day. And once you realise that you're in control of your moods, not them happening, because I am in control a lot. But then you'd see me, if you caught me on a 24-hour camera and it kept me around, you'd catch me and you'd say, why is this guy giving me mindset advice? And the ultimate reason is because I've learned from being an angry young man to not to learn to deal with my anger and my choices and how I react, and more think my focus and your focus has always got to be one thing: how do you feel? It's up to you how you feel, and as soon as you start taking responsibility for that, everything starts working its way out. It's not all great, and it never will be. And realise that, accept it, enjoy it, move on, but keep creating things to happen. But I tell you what that did take me straight into. Ultimately, you can have all the plans in your world, and I'm not touching on manifestation, but it's a word that I will come to. But manifestation's about taking a thought in your mind and putting it into reality. And it's interesting that when I look back at all the things that I've tried to manifest, and I've achieved an awful lot of things, and I'm going to achieve a lot more. And like this one now, when I didn't want my business to close down now, but I had planned what was going to happen, and the perfect plan. And it's a Tony Robbins comment, this, that I'm not an obsession of Tony Robbins, certainly not. But I do come back to this comment when the things are going bad and wrong around me, or I feel that they are. I say this comment, and I remember how many times when I look back at previous events at work, when everything is falling apart, is it not really falling into place? Because my thing this week, I wanted this thing to happen, just not now. And I wanted it to happen because I wanted something else to happen, and that's come up, but it was not just now. And maybe it's not just now, but sometimes you don't get that choice. And maybe now is the time. You didn't plan now, but now's the new now. Next year was the new now, and then it moves forward to today. And in that thing that's happened, and like that phone call I got the other day and them things, it just seeks a solution. Everything's a problem. There'll always be problems. They will never go away. And if you find yourself getting mad at problems, you'll be mad forever. Instead of being mad at problems, be solution focused. And think about everything that comes up. All it needs is an answer. All it needs is to take, like one thing for certain, I know I'm going to mention it in future episodes of this, all it needs is you to take action. Worrying comes about when you've got no action going on to it. The action could be you're not looking at this for 3 months. That takes that worry away from your mind. So often it's that seeking the solution. I'll finish on this in my final point, because these podcasts are never going to go over 10 minutes. That's important to me, and I'm never going to edit them. This is how I started this podcast. I started this podcast 15 episodes about it. And I want you to know about we make decisions in our life and things happen from it. You are never, ever, ever a prisoner to that decision, a prisoner to that choice. And whatever you did before or is happening yesterday, you can change today forever. You might have done it for 30 years. You can change it. It's your choice. It's your power. That's the power we have. One of my things when I started this podcast was I only want to do 10 minutes because it fits in my life, and I've done really well with that. But for the first 10 episodes, I had no name. But I kept doing it because I decided I wanted to start. So I've actually, this is my first episode, done at my 15th episode, and I'll tell you why. Because in research for another podcast I'm part of, we found out that we must identify what's in it for you. And I know what's in it for you after doing 15 episodes. It's learning from the things that affect us and how we deal it, coping mechanisms, strategies to deal with stuff, tips in order to beat the things that are constantly going to happen in life. And I hadn't put that in some words, and I have done today. So just like when this call happened this week, I had to change the way I think. Today I did it. But the next 9 episodes, you're going to hear me telling you there is no name. But I've listened to it again, and there's some gold in there. If you can do one thing for me, get over the fact that I say there is no name, but we've started with a name, then you'll see the beauty in the mix of things I've got to give you. I'm not perfect, and most likely this is for the average man, because I have had a lot of successes, but my major success is me. Making sure I'm all right. Making sure this little small piece of life, that gift that we have been given, that I get to enjoy it. Do I enjoy every minute? No chance. Do I enjoy the majority? Without a doubt. So this 10 minutes, if you absorbed into watching the episodes, it's just about how to make the best of life, how to make the best of opportunities, how to deal with setbacks, and how to build up resilience, because you're going to need it, but once you learn to grow, it stays forever. So I'll finish with that one because I feel it's at the end. If you want to get hold of me and add anything to it, it's mindsetmentor.co.uk. That's my coaching site. You can go on there. It's a method to contact me. You're going to hear loads of the advice that I give to people in coaching, and loads of the advice that I listen to myself, and I practice what I preach, and you're going to see that. Thanks so much for listening with me. If you want more, tune into the next episode. But I've been Christian Hoyle, and you have been amazing.